So say I want to have a banner that's rounded. So I have a circle maker, but in case you don't, I use a roll of tape. Who knew? So I'm going to use my roll of tape to make a guideline. So there we go. I have my guideline. And then I'm going to close the sides of the banner. And we're going to do really the same thing. And then connect. And if you wanted to keep it more round, instead of having a straight line here, you could also have a rounded line there. That's up to you. But it's really just going to the middle. And this one kind of looks like it's curved a little bit towards the top, which is cool. You can have it curved to the bottom. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with it. So since it's July, how about we do July in this banner? And we'll pretend like this is for our monthly spread. So the first step is going to be a pencil outline. So the difference between doing something in script and in modern calligraphy is going to be that calligraphy always has thicks and thins. So if we don't have any calligraphy markers on hand, which we do not need, we can fake it with something called faux calligraphy, or as I like to say, fake it till you make it. And there's 3 steps to faux calligraphy. So the first step is to write it in script. So I'm just going to write calligraphy style. So first we're going to write it in our script. And then when we look at calligraphy, so I'll write it in calligraphy, you will notice those thicks and thins. So our thick is every time we go down, and our thin is every time we go up. You know what? Actually, I'm just going to show you here. So wherever my downstrokes are, I'm going to go through and add an outline there. And then I'll give it a calligraphy look. And then I can fill it in. So script, outline, fill in. Now you can have it all filled in the same color, or you can fill it in a different way. So let me show you this all put together, writing July in my banner. So here we go. Again, I'm using my pencil. I'm just figuring out how I want it to fit in my space. That feels pretty good to me. So I'm going to start by writing it. See, it's a little bit farther apart than maybe I would normally go. I'm also going to just very subtly change my J a little bit. But I'm leaving space to add my downstrokes. So I'm going to add a downstroke here. Now, it doesn't matter if you go on the inside or the outside. You really just want to be achieving balance so that your lettering looks proportionate to your space. Maybe I want to add a little, yeah, I think that looks good. I'll add a little bit of a flourish there. Awesome. All right, so now I'm going to go over it with my pen. Now, I'm only going to go over the areas I want to keep. And what that means is I'm actually not going to be filling this in with, I'm not going to be filling this in black. So instead of going over my line here, I'm actually going to leave this space open so that I can go through and color it, and it won't have a random line going through. So it just leaves my spaces open. So I'm not going to go, all the way through. I'm going to leave some space so that it colors in nicely. And there we go. So how do we want to fill this guy in? I can use colored pencil, I can use marker, I can use gel pen. So coloring with colored pencils is really fun. And this trick for coloring with colored pencils is actually to use layering. So I have my Prismacolors here, I have in my little case, love this case. And when I pick my colors, I'm gonna pick at least 2 colors for every, like 2 tones for every color. So I'm gonna take this lighter blue and this true blue. So these 2 blues feel good. And then I'm gonna add some indigo, I think, for some accents. And then for red, I have carmine and crimson. Those are two good reds. And I don't really need anything for the white, but I'm gonna grab my white and my cream anyway. So having a consistent color palette is really going to help bring cohesion. So like we saw with the stickers, for example, that every month had a palette, and that made it feel very cohesive and made it feel like the same team. So when we're coloring, we're gonna start with our lighter color first. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of an ombre effect. So I'm gonna color in the July. It's gonna alternate red and blue. And then I'm gonna use some red and blue and do a little ombre effect for the underside here and use my cream to fill in and behind it. So I'm gonna start by just doing a layer with my lighter color. So that's my first step. Then I'm gonna take my darker color and I'm gonna concentrate at the top and the bottom because it's just gonna give me a look of it having a highlight in the middle. So I'm gonna go over it, and then I'm gonna go over it one more time using the lighter one, kind of pulling the darker color in to fill in. So it's just gonna create a little bit of a highlight. And then because I wanna make my blue just a little bit darker to be a little bit more America, I have my darker blue, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a highlight, or shadow, I should say, coming up from the bottom. So I'm leaving the inside bare. Now, why am I doing this last? Because the more layers you add, the less the color comes through. So it's just gonna give it a little bit of a hint to darken it up. So now I'm gonna do the same thing with my red, and this time I only have 2 shades of red because I don't really need to add the depth of all 3. So I'm gonna start. Now what you can also do instead of the style that we're doing is you can do an ombre where it goes from a lighter color to a darker color. So for that, you would have just the darker color on the bottom half and then the lighter color above it. I want my banner to be white, but I also want it to be a little fun. So I'm not gonna just have my white. I don't really need to use my white colored pencil because of course it is white already. But I'm gonna use my cream colored pencil, and I'm gonna just color in the sides of the banner just to show a little bit of age. So I want the underside of my banner to have red and blue. So I'm just gonna take 2 of my shades. Actually, I'll use these. I'm gonna take 2 of my shades. So this is when you're blending from 2 colors that really have nothing to do with each other. So you do your first color and come through, and then you're actually gonna wanna leave a little space of overlap. So I did a little bit of an overlap with the red, a little bit of overlap with the blue, and now I'm gonna come back and do the same thing. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I can just add a little bit of my darker color just right at this corner here to show that there's a shadow. And I'm gonna add a little bit of my darker red up here. And there we go.